Let's face it, life isn't easy. If you're stuck in a bad relationship, betrayed or afraid of tomorrow, financially insecure, or desperate for a breakthrough, you've come to the right place. Dr. Carmen Harra is a renowned psychologist, intuitive, relationship expert, and best-selling author, and she's here to give you the miracle guidance you need. Her new call-in show, Miracle Guidance for Everyday Life, offers profound wisdom, practical advice, daily exercises, and empowering predictions, all for you. Dr. Harra's show aims to eliminate everyday problems, big and small, with topics like healing your relationships, reclaiming your power, achieving better health, dealing with loss, and so much more. Regain the joy, stability, and fulfillment you deserve to feel. Tune in to Miracle Guidance for Everyday Life with host Dr. Carmen Harra, live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and find the answers you've been looking for.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Miracle Guidance. I'm Carmen Harra. So excited to be with you every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on OMTimes Radio. Every night, every time I'm doing the show, I'm choosing a different topic. And tonight I thought, let me talk about the other side of fear. Fear as such a negative emotion and how to overcome fear and how to have more courage. And I know that seems like almost impossible because fear dominates our life. But I'm going to give you some tips and what I conclude going through life that are the best ways, to live with courage. I know that, I'll take your calls in a minute because this is a calling show. So feel free to call in with whatever kind of questions you might have. So call in so I can give you my guidance and my input on your problems. So you can talk to me personally by calling in 202-570-7057. But I'm going to go to Mark Twain, who said, courage is the resistance to fear, mastery of fear, and non-absence of fear. So my question is, what do you think he was meaning by this? I think he meant that we all experience fear in our day-to-day life, and that's kind of normal. But the only way to conquer fear is through courage. We don't have to erase our fear. Sometimes it even feels impossible, but we have to overcome, to master fear. Fear is an important mechanism that we develop as we evolve. And we are all afraid of something. Some people are afraid to be in a relationship. Some people are afraid they're going to lose the people they love. Some people are afraid they're going to lose their home, their jobs. But our fear are often unjustified. And in many cases, fear can be like irrational. And I should say even worse. It seems to come up in our lives until we address fear. It just pops in. It's just there. It's important to know that fears originate somewhere in the reactive side of the brain that we call subconscious mind. And we have to start and go back there and address fear in this way. And some of the most common fears I heard in my work is like, I'm going to name some of them. Fear of failure, fear of abandonment, fear of illness, fear of financial collapse, fear of betrayal, fear of cheating, fear of being alone, fear of death. So fear stands like a wall between you and celebrating your life joyfully, the life that you actually meant to live. And fear creates self-sabotage and creates painful situation because as long as it is present, you cannot reach your true potential. So if you're wondering, why aren't things working out for me? Then it's time to revisit what? Revisit your fears. Now, fear is one of our 4 great emotions. Along with love, along with anger, along with hate. Now, ultimately, we should try to live in a state of love. That's yesterday, by the way, was Valentine. So love is such a powerful, divine emotion, such a healing force, the most powerful emotion at all. It's like divine to be in a state of love. And if we're in love, we appreciate all the wonders that the life has to offer. But we need the bad sometimes to recognize the good. So sometimes negative emotions are somehow necessary. But the other emotion of fear, anger, and hate should serve to make us understand the healing power of love. That's my only reason for anger, fear, and hate. But as a whole, we far from living in love. Instead, we live more in fear. Look at the world we are living in. We're afraid what's going to happen. We watch the news and there's fear. Fear of COVID, fear of dying, fear of Russia invading Ukraine, fear of the war, fear of all kinds of things, that might happen to us. So fear is our great oppressor. It inhibits us from progress and stops us from evolving. Now, living in constant fear is like trying to walk with chains wrapped around your feet. You can't get too far. Now, fear is the oldest emotion in humans. Then I should say that every being on this planet has this ability to experience fear. Now, it's part of our natural fight or flight mechanism that helps us protect against dangerous situations. Fear moderates our behavior to keep us from potentially harmful encounters. So, what I sometimes don't understand is why aren't people afraid to hurt themselves? Or why aren't people afraid to hurt other people? But they are afraid to apply for a new job. We have become such fearful creatures that the things we fear and the things we don't fear don't really make sense. Everything is totally mixed up. For example, you're afraid of communicating with the other side, really? It's like you're afraid of the so-called spirit world because it's a phenomena that the science cannot explain. But you're not afraid to settle in a relationship with a partner who's wrong, who's going to make your life a living hell. You're not afraid, to take all kinds of medication that's hurting your health. You're not afraid to smoke, to drink, knowing that's going to kill you, or eat the wrong food. So this leads me to the conclusion that what we really fear is our potential. We're afraid of ourselves. We're afraid of each other. This has caused us to allow fear to take over our life and direct us in the wrong direction as a whole. We live in a world that's dominated by fear, dominated. And we should not let our fear keep us apart from one another or the divine. That's my belief. But you know what? Regardless of what you fear, I am actually here to listen to you and give you the motivation you need to go beyond your fear. So what are you afraid of? Are you afraid you won't be able to get a better job? Are you afraid you're not going to be able to pay your bills? Are you afraid you're not living out your life mission, or you're afraid you're not going to pursue the right things in life? Or are you afraid that your partner is cheating, or he will abandon you? The first step to alleviate your fear is dig deeper and uncover the reason of the fear. Now, if you want to talk to me about your fears, because I know we all have them, I want you to call in 202-570-7057, and my producer will take your calls and will connect you with me. And also, I want to let you know that I did a lot of TV shows lately. I did like around yesterday I was on a show in Canada. I did shows all over the country, around 20 shows the last 2 months promoting my book, Committed: Finding Love and Loyalty Through the 7 Archetypes. And I want you to join me on social media because you will be able to connect with me on my live shows that I'm doing. You can put questions, connect with me on Instagram, and also Feel free to let me know what you think about my book. I have a new book coming. I'm working. It's going to be done very soon. I'm very excited about that. But meanwhile, I've had this book that is relatively new that I promote because I believe in the idea of commitment. I believe in the idea of the archetypes. Excuse me, I have a problem with my computer. So my book will help you reevaluate the way you think about love. And my book is a relationship manual that will help you understand the work that you need to perform on the inside and the archetypes, the 7 archetypes that you encounter in the outside world. I did many times try to speak much more about this book because I want to guide you through your own archetype and find out who's your significant other's archetype, because archetypes, they do stem from your personality traits, from your weaknesses, your strength, your capacity to commit, your capacity to give love. So it's very significant to find out who you really are, what type of a archetype you represent, because in this way you will actually prevent a divorce or a separation by knowing who is your match. And it's a psychological evaluation of who you are and what are your personality traits. But coming back to fear, and I know I have some callers and I would love to take your calls. So I know I have Susan, I know I have Coy, I have people waiting for me to speak, and I'll get to you in a minute. Just hold on the line, I'll be with you in a second. But I want to tell you something very significant. There are 5 things to fear. Not fulfilling your life purpose. You are born with a unique vocation or a calling, and it's a shame to if we don't live up to it. It's a shame to miss that. We all want to have that. So this is one of the things that many people are afraid of. Also, another thing to be afraid is not being with the right person. We weren't meant to settle just with anybody. You can't give up on love that easily. The relationship we enter into is a direct reflection of our level of inner fear. So if you're afraid of bringing the wrong person into your life, you might end up really doing so. What you're also afraid is not healing from trauma, like leaving all the emotional wounds open, and that means that you still live in the past. Like living in the past doesn't allow you to open the door of the future, and you live with unhealed trauma that will cultivate more fear and can keep you from transitioning into your future. Also, fear of not recognizing your divine nature. That's a very sad one. We are all spiritual beings, and to acknowledge the truth is about us and the divine that exists within us is one of the most beautiful things in life. But when you can't understand this, you limit yourself only to the physical world, and you reject the magic of the divine world. And there's nothing more beautiful than the magic of the divine world. Also, fear of living in a state of anger. I can see the world around me living in a state of anger, because anger is an enemy we can choose to defy. But when you feel angry, you're doing more harm to your mind and your body. But anger makes your brain create more neurons that are programmed for anger. It's the anger bring anger, making you feel angrier all the time. Have you ever seen people that no matter what, they're constantly angry? And anger acts as an emotional barrier, like blocking us from resolving your own inner conflict. So there are things that you should never be afraid of, and those are never be afraid on so-called the other side, the 5th dimension, the world of the, etheric world, the world of continuous time, the world where spirits exist, because that divine world wants to help us, not to hurt us. Don't be afraid of your intuition. A lot of people are afraid of their intuitive mind. You might not always like sometimes, things that your intuition is telling you, but your intuition is always right. It never lies to you. You should not be afraid to trust your gut and trust that intuitive ability of the brain to transcend physics, to go beyond the linear time. You should never be afraid of your future, because the future is something what you make of it. And when you add fear to the equation, you sabotage your chances of success. You can achieve everything you want in life, everything you dream, but only if fear is not present to get it your way. You don't be afraid and should not be afraid of the world around you. Don't be afraid of other people. There are a lot of good people in this world, but there are bad people. But we need to regain our faith in the human spirit, because that faith feels like getting away. Like it's like we're losing the faith in us, and we're losing to see the potential of positivity in people. And that's really sad. And also, think about where the world is heading. The future of the world determines your future. When we don't do our part and don't care about the rest of the world, we're only doing damage to us also. We can take the future of the world in our hands and make it fearless, a fearless world for all of us. I think that's like a dream world, like John Lennon's song, Remember All the People Living in a World of Peace. You might think I'm a dreamer, and I'm not the only one. And I really believe I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. But I hope one day Jolmy and the world will live as one. And I'm going to take a short break, then I'm going to take your calls, and I'm going to go to New York, to Coy, and then to Susan. So you guys hold on the line. I'll be with you in a minute.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organisation, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Coping-19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
If you're feeling increasingly lonely right now, you're not alone. It's totally normal. Even though we may not be able to get together in person, connecting virtually with friends and family still gives you a chance to interact with people and may help raise your spirits. Join a virtual book club, set up group text chats, or online video coffee breaks with coworkers.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
And I'm back with my topic tonight, how to face your fear and how to heal from fear and what kind of an emotion this is and how can we cope with fear. And I'm going to go to callers, and I invite you to call in 202-570-7057 if you have questions. And no matter what kind of a question you have about your relationship, about your health, feel free to call in. And I will do my best to try to answer your question and give you a better understanding of everything that you're going through, and look at your life from a different perspective and try to make you be an observer of your life. And I'm going to go to New York, to Coy. Hi, my lovely Coy. How are you, my dear?
Hi, Carmen. How are you?
Good. You?
I have a little concern, Carmen,
Okay,
and
let's talk about it.
I didn't realize what the topic was going to be about before I called, and then
Right.
it turns out it's turns out that's exactly what I need help with.
Wow.
Um, my concern is that earlier today I was talking to my brother who was in the hospital over the weekend, and he's been going back and forth to the hospital. Well, I spoke to him today, and he didn't sound right to me. So
Okay.
I had him check his blood sugar, and I had him check his high blood pressure, and his blood sugar was 54, and his blood pressure was 200 over 100 and something. So I asked him, because he was in the hospital, I think it was Saturday, I guess he fell down outside. Someone saw him, called the police, and they took him to the hospital on Saturday. Now, today I called him, and he wasn't feeling correct. So he said he was going to take some orange juice because his blood sugar was 54.
Yeah, low, very low.
Make
Yeah.
Yes, he was making dinner, and he said he was going to take a nap. And I said, okay, I will call you in about 45 minutes to make sure you wake up and, so you could turn your food off because he had it on low. This was a little after 1 o'clock this afternoon. I called him. It was 1:45. He didn't answer. So this went on and on until 3 o'clock when I finally called emergency services, and I let them know what was going on. And they went to his house, and they told me they couldn't get in. They couldn't get him to answer. Okay, so that, like I said, it was after 1. It wasn't until they had to break. I asked them if they could break the door in. I live in a different city than he does.
Right.
So they had to break the door in because the landlord wasn't answering the phone, and the landlord lives right below him. And so it took 4 hours and 45 minutes before they called me, and I was getting fearful because I had a feeling that the longer it took, that maybe I might hear that, that he had expired. So that was my fear. And I can't prove it, but I don't feel like he really wants to be here on this earth. And this keeps happening more and more. Now, this has only been, 3 days?
Did you hear from him anything, from them?
They did call me, and they broke into the house. When they found him, he was unresponsive. And so they said that his blood sugar was 24.
Oh my God!
And that his blood pressure was 200 and something over 110. And so they were going to transport him to the hospital. Now, I haven't heard anything since then. I'm waiting to hear from the hospital, but my concern is, do I need to start preparing because he doesn't seem to want to be here, and he's my only brother. I don't have, so that's my concern.
How old is your brother? Now, how old is your brother? I cannot believe that the people at the hospital, when he was hospitalized, they didn't do anything to regulate the pressure. because these things can be regulated. And there are some glucose tablets that you can take, and the sugar level will go to normality in a matter of seconds. So I don't understand why he didn't have any of those with him that you can get even at any pharmacy. You just go and let them know that the sugar is low, and they give you those. You can even find it under the counter. So it's very easy to get those pills. Then blood pressure being so high, that can be treated too. You don't have to die from that.
Well, the truth of the matter is that when he was in the hospital before, I spoke to the on-call doctor there, and that doctor explained to me that he has a rare form of high blood pressure that very few people have. And he does take the medication. They have put him on so many different ones to try and help him, but it just keeps happening.
There's no such things like rare form of blood. I don't know what the doctor was talking about. I'm not contradicting anybody. I'm just telling you, I've studied this. I took a lot of courses in college about blood pressure, and so I'm like fascinating with this, and I know all the root of the problem that has to do with blood pressure. That come from the kidney, that come from adrenaline, that there can be a tumor on the top of that causes the stenosis in the kidney. So there's different reasons medically that can cause this. And always there's a link between sugar and blood pressure. Obviously, the body is trying to survive, but he hasn't done anything correctly to help himself. And when you feel this way, of course you don't want to be on earth. How old is your brother?
60.
Well, 60 is a young man.
Yes.
He's a young man, and you know what I mean? Why to die like this? At 200, it may not even be a stroke. It's just high blood pressure that can be regulated. And write me an email, and I'll give you a medication that's actually the best medication that exists in blood pressure. That is a sophisticated one, but is extraordinary, no side effects in majority of cases, and is made of 2 medication in one, that we can actually help him get better. I don't think it's that. I don't think it should be. And I also think that the hospital should do the right thing to regulate the sugar and regulate the blood pressure. I don't care what a rare form, and I don't understand how the emergency room, they came to the realization this is a rare form of blood pressure. I tell you the truth, I've never heard of anything like it.
Also, he has had quite a few, he keeps having mini strokes too on top of everything
Of course,
else.
when you have that high of a pressure, you can have a mini stroke, yeah.
So then I guess my question is, should I prepare myself? Or
No, why
prepare
you have to think of him dying? No, don't project that. He's a young man. We can fix this. I offer to help. We can help him regulate the blood pressure. We can regulate the sugar level. There must be something going on that's causing this problem with the vital signs. But you know what I mean? He can get better. For how long is he like this? With the spikes in blood pressure and drops in the sugar level?
For the past 4 years, but it's more and more now. It's like
because it hasn't been really treated, and nobody got to the bottom of it. Do you know if he was on any kind of a medication for the blood pressure?
Yes, he's on several.
And still, in spite of the medication, it means the medication was not working.
Correct, even though they've changed it to try and help him. But, it's even messing with his short-term memory.
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I had a concern.
Right.
I had a concern.
Right. Wow. Well, I'm not a blood pressure specialist. I've just studied it. I was always interested to get to know, to have all the knowledge of this. and I offer to help you with everything that I know. I don't think your brother is supposed to die. I don't think so. I think, poor soul, he feels very sick and he doesn't want to be here because he doesn't feel well. And I think he deserves to be saved, and I think he can get to normality, but he didn't have the help that he's not helped. You know what I mean? He needs to be helped.
But he needs to also want to be helped.
But you know what? You can, with this kind of a blood pressure constantly gets you, your life becomes sad, and you become miserable, and you become depressed. So sometimes, this blood pressure is also associated with severe anxiety. I've seen people having very high blood pressure, and they take an anxiety pill, like a lorazepam or something, and their blood pressure drops to normal from an anxiety pill, you know? And there's definitely something going on in his system that can be corrected. It doesn't mean he has to die, but we have to stop the spikes in the pressure. And intuitively, going before the medical knowledge, just intuitively, I feel that he can be helped, and he will be helped. You know, why should we let him die at this age? He didn't have a massive stroke. He had just those tiny strokes that, you know what I mean? If we correct the blood pressure, we can stop those. It's the feeling I have. Actually, I don't have a bad feeling. I don't think any of this is I'm glad that you called. Unfortunately, I don't feel he has any support or any help. I don't know if you agree with me.
I agree with you.
And the problem is he doesn't feel supported, loved, and helped. He's not helped.
That is absolutely correct.
And I don't think he has, I hate to say this, I'm sorry to say this on the radio, but I feel like he doesn't have a doctor who really, really wants to help him. They put him in a category of some kind of a people who are hard to be helped, and they have a rare format, I don't know what, and that's it. They wash their hands, you know, and they let him, you know, suffer without finding a solution for him.
And
but
I don't understand why
he deserves a solution, and he doesn't have any more strength to fight for himself. So the fact that he said, "Oh, I want to be out of this world," I don't believe any of that. I don't believe it. No. He's just exhausted emotionally and mentally, the poor soul, for not getting help and support. And he thinks the only way is, I need to exit this world.
True.
No, that's wrong.
Yes, it is wrong.
Well, I'm here for you. If there's something I can do, I can tell you what I think you should take. I can tell you what I think the root of the problem is. Send me an email or give me a call right after the show, and we'll talk a little bit. I'll tell you what I think you should do. There's a number of tests that I want him to take in which we can determine the root of the problem. Because there are some very clear, specific indication of the spikes in the blood pressure. But blood pressure is usually associated with the problem with the sugar. Now, is your brother overweight or underweight? What is his weight? Do you know by any chance?
No, his weight is normal.
Is normal, yeah, okay.
Yes.
There is definitely something in his system that's causing this disturbance. You know, so the body is responding, is reacting. But I want him to get the help that he deserves to help. And I want you to keep on top of those people, because the fact that they see him without help, unfortunately, you know, the system is cruel.
Yes.
You know, the system, nobody cares. So that's what bothers me in the world that we are living in. The people don't care about other people. There's not enough caring.
Exactly.
So please continue to call those people. Continue to keep yourself informed. Don't give up and pray for his soul. Let's stabilize his vital sign. Let's bring him to balance and normality, and he can live for another 20 years. Because I don't really feel that he's as sick as probably you or other people attempted to believe that he is. I don't think your brother has cancer. I don't think your brother, I think his heart still function. I think his lungs are functioning. I think his stomach is okay. You know, it's just I tune into that energy in his body, and I think that, you know, this man deserves to live.
Yes, he does.
Now, just because the pressure is high and the sugar is low, that doesn't mean he needs to die. No. Of course he's scared. Of course he's alone, talking about his own fear.
Exactly.
Of course he feels like nobody's helping him. I'm glad that you called me.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Love. After the show, feel free to give me a call. Do you have my number?
Yes, I do.
Okay, give me a call right after the show. Okay, my love.
I will. Thank you.
I love you.
Love you too.
Okay, my sweetheart. Thank you for calling me. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to take a short break, and then I'm going to go back to your calls. And I do have Susan with me. So, Susan, don't hang up. I'll be with you in a minute after the short break.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
If I could be you.
And you could be me?
For just 1 hour.
If you could find a way.
To get inside each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
And I'm back with you guys, and the topic tonight is about how to overcome this negative emotion called fear. Because all you need is just put the TV on and that's it. You're going to find a lot of horrible things going on in this world, the possibility of war, this COVID-19 for 2 years. I mean, we're so drained and overwhelmed by all this negativity, and fear is that dangerous emotion. Please be courageous and don't let fear take control. You know, every emotion, is necessary, sometimes even negative emotions, but the wisdom is don't let emotion get inside you. Release them. Don't allow yourself to be dominated by, don't let emotion as your worst enemies, your best friends. So make emotion your best friend, not your worst enemies. And as I said, release them in a healthy outlet, in a healthy way. And find out your emotion. By the way, I'm a firm believer that it's very significant to find out your dominant emotion. And what I suggest, take a notebook and every day, when you wake up, write down how you feel. Because how you feel, what you feel determines how you feel. So this is very powerful and very significant. Let's say you wake up in the morning and write down, I feel this way, but go beyond the happy or sad. Go dig deeper into your state of mind and your emotional self. And write down. At noon, you do it again. And the evening again. And especially if you interact with people, write down what kind of emotions somebody evoke in you. And also how you respond to the daily routine. What emotions exist within you when something happens. How you respond to life emotionally is very significant. And I tell you, after 7 days, you're going to reach a conclusion. You're going to find out your dominant emotion. Is your dominant emotion hate? Is your dominant emotion anger? Is your dominant emotion fear? Is your dominant emotion love? Let's see. Because what kind of a dominant emotion you have determines how your body functions. Because everything is in the mind, and reality begins in the mind, and the way you feel, is in correlation with your physical health, with your mental health, with achieving everything, and seeing the world, in the right colors, and success and achievement has a lot to do with emotions that are going through you. So let's make sure that you guys are, finding out your dominant emotion. But I'm going to go to Susan. Hi, Susan. How are you, my dear?
Hi, Carmen. I'm doing well. I understand your last caller's concern because that same thing happened to my ex-husband, my son's father.
Really?
And he was overweight and he did pass away. So it is kind of, and I did just finish the book Crossing Over by John Edward. It was a really good book. I was just curious because I'm not too fearful. I'm fearful when other people project their own fear on me. It starts to make me question my own self.
Right.
So I'm trying to work harder to not let other people's fears invade or take my energy.
Exactly. So what happened to him? He was overweight and he had a high blood pressure?
Yeah, and he had diabetes and he had been taking a bunch of medicine, but he wasn't happy with his living situation, but he was afraid to make the change, and
right.
he had a car accident and the car went into the water, and he was only 57, so it's really sad.
Like a lot of people I've seen becoming self-destructive. They can control, their state of mind. They can control their health. They become severely anxious and depressed. So then, you know what I mean? You drive into the wall, and you hit something and you kill yourself. It's just a self-destructive pattern of behavior that's motivated by your physical state of being, And it's just so sad because people are so young they die. My husband died relatively young, but he also killed himself because he was never able to overcome the loss of his mother as a young woman. The mother was hit by a truck, and she was only 40. He was a teenager. He couldn't overcome that pain for the rest of his life, And I saw how he started to smoke, ended up by smoking 3 packs a day, until he got cancer of his lungs, of course, So that's another way, what people do to themselves, what we do to ourselves, if we're not in a state of balance and stability. That's why I'm advising people, go check on your emotion, go control, because, if you become so emotional and so anxious, then your vital signs have to suffer. This is the way you develop diabetes. This is the way you develop high blood pressure. This is the way you have a heart attack. And, and that's it, and your life is over. But it shouldn't be this way. And my grandmother lived 103, and she was the calmest woman. You put her on a chair, and 3 weeks later, you find her in the same spot. She had no emotion. She was so in control of her feeling. And that was the key to longevity. That woman never took a pill. and you never saw her crying. She buried her own kids, she buried her husband, but she was calm. That calmness, that serenity, that acceptance that God takes, God gives, the wisdom of that woman. I watch her at 100 years old, you know what I mean, taking care of her grandkids, and she was always smiling. She never said a bad word about anybody or anything.
Right, yeah. So I guess I'm just trying to find a better job where I'm not around people that are fearful or they're acting in crisis mode
That's hard. That's hard. Find a place where people are all balanced and all stable mentally. That's hard. Nowadays, it's very hard.
Yeah.
Find another job. Susan, let's do this. Let's find another job in which you accept the way people are and don't even pay too much attention. Just be aware that what you dream of might be very hard to achieve, but as long as you have a good job, as long as you are stable, things can go very well for you.
Yeah, I just was curious because I did have a good interview last week.
That seems to work well.
Yeah.
Are you having another is there another interview coming?
I haven't heard yet. It could be, so.
Yeah, I do have a feeling that there's something else other than this one, but this one I feel very good about.
Yeah, I did too. It's closer to my home. I wouldn't have to travel very far, and the atmosphere.
So you will be happy with this one, no?
I would think so. I think I would. I felt like it was but I couldn't. I haven't heard anything back yet if they are going to offer it to me or not. So.
They usually respond in a week or two. Is there a time to give an answer?
Well, I was hoping to know something by the end of this week because I think they wanted to have somebody in March. But, the struggle I'm having is that I have a potential for a big bonus at the job I'm at if I can stay.
So don't give up on the bonus. You need that.
Okay.
Yeah, so at least get the bonus, and after that I think you should, because the bonus is something you deserve to get.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to hear from you, and
I do have a feeling that someone else is giving you another interview, but I do see you getting a new. My sense is that you're going to start working on the new job somewhere at the beginning of April. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I wanted some help with my current boss because she uses fear to try to get people to respond, and I don't like that. It bothers me.
A lot of people use fear, to dominate, to instigate, to control.
Yeah.
Fear is infiltrating in people's mind. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like the leaders of the world. They're using male posturing and fear to get people to respond, and I don't like that. It makes me.
Of course not. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to get some help how to be more resilient to that.
Right. Exactly. Don't allow the outside world to disturb your inner peace.
Thank you.
Yeah, please don't do that. And I see you, definitely you're going to get another job. Definitely is a job that, in my opinion, is better, more relaxed. In other words, there's progress by making the change. So I highly recommend you getting the new job because it works for you.
Okay.
Yeah, so just do it. Don't be worried that it's not going to happen because it's going to happen. So talking about fear, don't project any fear of not getting this job. But also make sure that you also get the reward of the bonus that you deserve to get.
Okay.
And with your boss who's so aggressive, try not to feed into that energy, and stand up for yourself. Stand up for yourself. Because she's not going to be for too long in your life anyhow.
Okay.
So you'll be able to walk away from her very soon.
And with my son going through losing his father, do you see him being okay because he's pretty upset. So.
Oh, this is hard because he needs a lot of healing. A lot of healing. He needs to be constantly told how much you love him, how his father's going to be okay in another dimension, how there's communication with our world, how the spirit doesn't die. We have to have that belief, you know, because if he believes this way, that's going to help him heal.
Yeah, I think I had a really good feeling. I mean, actually, I was happy for a long time because I think he just isn't in pain anymore. His dad's not in pain.
Yeah, right.
Just feel sad for my son.
Right. No, we always say that those who suffer are those who are left behind, you know. So your son is the one who suffers, who's affected by this.
Yeah.
But he needs a lot of encouragement and even probably a little bit of therapy.
Yeah, therapy is always helpful for him.
Yeah. Have him talk to me once, you know, I'll give him a free session. Just to talk to me about his dad, and let's see if I can help him connect with him, help him heal, help him understand something. It's part of his own evolution.
Right.
And trust me, this happened because as crazy as it might seem, was kind of meant to happen, you know, everything that, even the loss of somebody we love so much, is part of our fate, of the things that we need, of the challenges and things we need to go through. Because you see, all of us, we go through so much in life.
Right. Yeah,
and we think we don't deserve, and your son doesn't deserve this, but it's part of his own evolution. It is.
Right. Yeah, I feel like sometimes we walk around like damaged goods, you know. We all have some damage, but it helps to try to learn to be more resilient, because the world is going to have pluses and minuses, you know.
This is the kind of a conversation you should have with him. Teach him that. Tell him, you know, this is what you need to learn. This is what the world is teaching you. And we come in this world, you know, with things that we need to go through, things that we need to experience. And the same theme of life happens to all of us at different phases, in different stages. But we all experience loss. Some of us very young, some of us later, but we all experience the same lessons.
Right. It's like it's somebody else's turn at a certain time in their life. So.
Exactly. Oh, so what I want from you, get your job and for your son to overcome this pain, and it gets better. It takes time, but it gets better. It's going to make him stronger.
Yeah, it'll make him for the next. Yeah. Yeah, I wish we could change the world.
I wish we can change the world, and I think we can. But for that, you know, we all have to be united.
Yeah.
And unity is what, you know, can heal the world and can change our perception about everything. And that is exactly where fear is not allowing us to come as one, in the oneness, the togetherness that we need to create. Fear is that negative force, you know, that makes us selfish, egotistic,
Yeah, but it takes more energy to be afraid or be angry than it does. The energy around love is so much calmer and easier.
Well, if the world will love each other, if we will care about each other unconditionally, genuinely, and do everything, you know, to help the people around us, then the world will be paradise. The world will be healed. We're not gonna, you know, we are not living in that world, and I'm just praying that the moment will come when collectively, you know, we will wake up to what we need to do together.
Right, allowance and resistance. It's easier to allow things to happen than resist it, you know.
Exactly. You're very right, my love. So talk to your son about the possibility of having a conversation with me one day.
Okay.
Okay, my Susan, and let me know whenever you get good news about the show, just feel free to about the job, feel free to call the show.
Okay, thanks.
And let me know about the new job. I love you, my Susan. And for everybody listening, I'm coming to the end of the show, and the show was about fear. And it's interesting that I found, and I don't think I have time to talk to you about the 12 ways to be fearless list. In the world, fearlessness comes from F, which stands for facing the truth, E, that stands from erasing negative imprints, A, that stands for allowing change, R, that stands for relaxation, L, that stands for letting the divine in, E, that stands for ending fuse, S, that stands for straightening your intuition, S, that stands for selectivity, N stands for new mentality, and E stands for endless potential. I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening to OMTime Radio, Miracle Guidance for Everyday Life. I'm Carmen Harra. I'll be with you next week. God bless you guys. Let's make the world a better place together.